And the topic that are the part of the ocean that I'm busy with a lot is around underestimating ourselves as weak and weakened by trauma. As if trauma would take something away from us, and how that feeds into the narrative of us needing to take care of each other in a way that doesn't serve anybody, because everybody collapses in order to at least try to work with that. And that is, all of us are at the bottom voluntarily, while we are meant to be on top. And all of us are topping everybody from the bottom. Don't treat me like that. I'm wounded. Don't treat me like that. I'm hypersensitive. And as long as I treat you around, could you please be nice because my father devaluated me because I grew up in a patriarchal system, whatever. As long as I'm doing that, I'm trying to manipulate you into my game of trying to love myself. But do you know when I learn to love myself? When you insult me, because then I'm needed. Then the urgency around me updating my software becomes obvious to me. As long as you provide harmony for me, I will use it in order to fall asleep. So stop doing that. And there is something where I'm really pissed on many levels. And the last level, of course, is everybody is innocent, just confused. So it's like the given fact of suffering all over takes away the enemy. And that's like, okay, that's really the worst thing that could happen. I hate all of you so much, and now nobody is guilty. I mean, go ahead. That's not okay. I mean, that's a move that's just, I'm sorry, I'm out. Yeah.
Like you have no one to really blame.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sucks.
In the end, you're beaten up until you laugh anyway. And that's like...
So what you just said was, we're all playing this game of wanting the external world to love us.
Yeah.
Because we don't love ourselves.
Let's say we want the external world to be nice because we think we are fragile and we think we would need the external world.
Yes.
At the same time, all of us are running around screaming that we want to be free. And the question is, free or free? What are you talking about? You need me to smile at you? Why exactly if you are free? You need me to be cautious around you? Why exactly if you believe that you have the power for freedom? And then it's like, what at the end of the day works as a method? The challenge or the non-challenge? I mean, how do I prepare for a marathon? By going jogging or watching Netflix? How? I mean, how? Everybody knows, and nobody uses it around freedom. I want you to set me free. I want you to trigger me until I discover my design of anti-fragility.
Well, what comes up for me is, if I'm not sure that that is actually my design, it's quite a risky thing.
Yes.
It's like risking everything.
Yeah. It's interesting because I somehow do not believe in these things, like this is a risk, or this is danger, or this is too much. It's like different labels for the same stop and go in front of this one longing for letting go.
Yeah.
So I can say, yes, it's a bit risky, but then you will see this is so true, it's well tested. Or yes, it's a little bit risky, but then you can titrate and you can rest during next holiday, whatever. But then I'm still believing the story of risk is the problem. It's not. We want to be in danger because we want at all costs to not having to spend our lifetime fighting against life. We don't want to be in charge. We can't be happy if this world around isn't dangerous and risky. If we look into the core or the essence of all those blissful states, it's not that it feels great. It's not that the sun is perfect or the best honeymoon or whatever. It is what makes us blissful in different blissful experiences is that we have let go of control. So in the moment of ecstasy, I'm willing to go into every risk on earth. Not because this ecstasy is so good that it's worth it, but because we see that the design of ecstasy and freedom and love, etc., 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 is the design of risk, being in constant risk, being deeply afraid all day long. The moment that I realize that I am afraid is the moment that I have chosen unconsciously due to conditioning to leave the agreement to be in constant fear. That is how I create fear. By trying to distancing myself from I have no control. And then we have these deep insightful moments, so potent and so horrific, that we call trauma. And we have nothing better to do but only discuss trauma as the source of problems. And it is, and I know why. Because I know how it is to suffer from trauma. But I also know that this is only the beginning of the story. We do not feel attached to our trauma because we are idiots and fighting against being happy. And therefore we are circling around and looping around our story. We are looping around our story because the story is not our story. It's our most insightful moment into I am free. Life exists without me interfering because that is what happens in trauma. The I stops. The I dies. The person dies, fully dies in the core of the trauma. And life is going on, and I experience both poles at the same time. That is why we are looping around trauma. So we have to talk about trauma in terms that are also really empowering and like listening to the traumatized ones as the teachers, because they are. There is no shaman on earth. There is no shamanic training on earth without on purpose putting woundings and trauma into the shamans. It's like if you are not the one who is wounded the deepest, how could you heal? How could you go through the death of others if you're not intimate with your own death? And that is how we are abused as traumatized people somehow by those ones around who say, oh, poor one, weak one. And we abuse ourselves by only developing self-image around being weak. And that is like how we beg for staying in a traumatized place. Because we feel in constant danger. And we think being in constant danger is too much. And what I learn in this time, for example, is it's not too much. I'm absolutely wired for living in constant danger and constant gratitude. Constant fear. And constant rage. And constant aliveness. And since my nervous system knows this design, it's not my body that says, oh, that's risky, let's not do that. It's my story when I am already disembodied.
Mm. Mm.
So yes, it's risky. And you want it that way. If I would give you your freedom for free and you would tune into this present, you would say, no, thanks. I won't be satisfied with a cheap one. Don't try to bluff me.
What I'm